Smartphones have got pretty stagnant these days, to the point where I'm honestly incredibly bored with pretty much every single new release that comes out. I mean, £1,000 for a smartphone that pretty much does the same as the one that you're replacing, to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But that changes today, however, as the Pixel 4a is finally here. And this will set you back a mere £349, but it will do so without lacking any of that punch that you'll find on something that costs double the price. It's a real revolution, and I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about this incredible little phone. But first, a quick word from this video's sponsor, ASUS, and their awesome TUF A15. This do-it-all gaming laptop is not only capable of playing the latest games at sky-high frame rates, but it does so without breaking the bank. Bask in the light of its super fast 144Hz display, get to the top of the leaderboard with Nvidia's GTX and RTX graphics cards, and then play comfortably with TUF's excellent keyboard and cooling solutions. Check it out today with the links down below. The Pixel 4a then, this epic little device packs a serious punch, especially when you consider it's only £349. I honestly don't quite understand how they've done that. It's a cracking looking phone, somewhere in between the size of the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 4 XL. The rear shares the same design language as its bigger brother, with the return of the fingerprint sensor right where your thumb would naturally rest for a little bit easier unlocking. I do miss the face unlock on the Pixel 4 and the 4 XL, but it's almost as if Google knew that in this world of face masking up, they don't of course work when you're out and about all of the time anymore, so having something that does is actually pretty useful. USB-C charging is of course present and correct as you'd expect in 2020, and it's situated next to a faux speaker grille. But don't be fooled, your banging tunes will only come out of the right hand side, not the left. But this does pair with a tiny driver that's found at the top of the screen that creates a sort of stereo effect, which does work well enough. It's not the best in the business, but no complaints from me. The headphone jack makes a firm return, which is awesome, but there is only a single camera on the rear. Sadly no wide angle or telephoto that we're hopefully going to see on the Pixel 5. But the thing that's actually probably best about this is just how it works. It gets on with everything, and I've not had any problems swapping from my Pixel 4 XL to the Pixel 4a. Things that you're actually going to be using your phone for, like web browsing, sending messages, taking telephone calls. I don't know, all of that stuff happens so well, and it doesn't matter how much power you have underneath the hood, you can't change the fact that that's what people are going to be using your devices for more or less 99% of the time. And this is pretty much what this phone does best, the stuff you're actually going to be using it for. That sounds complicated, but it's not. You know what I mean, I think. At the end of the day, you're going to be staring at web pages, typing into WhatsApp, watching the odd video on YouTube, and this is the stuff that this phone handles brilliantly. I really love the size of this too. Like, I hate to use the word, but it really is perfect. I love bigger screens, but the XL just always seemed to be a little bit too much of a chunk in my pocket. So the in-between, slightly longer 4A display really does work a treat. Now this screen is only Full HD and only 60Hz, so it's noticeably less smooth and less sharp when you compare it side by side with the XL, but this is stuff that I just forgot about less than an hour later. We're not talking about a game of Apex Legends here. High refresh rate is a luxury that's just not essential, especially for this price. Turning to the internals, we have a Snapdragon 730G processor, and this has to be the main weakness of the Pixel. And on paper it is a little bit of a disaster. It's nowhere near as quick as the iPhone, it's a big drop down from the latest Android flagships, and it isn't as good as OnePlus Nord. But the thing is though, at this moment in time anyway, this may change in a couple of years time, but you're just not going to notice much of a difference between this and something more high end. A 1080p screen at 60Hz isn't really that difficult to drive these days. You're still getting the same 6GB of RAM that you'll find on the bigger Pixels, and the 128GB of storage is quite laughably more than you're going to get on the base of those phones too. And with the Android optimizations that only Google can properly bake into their sort of fusion between hardware and software, you get something that feels great regardless of whether you're on a web page, phone app, or messaging. So all things considered, there's not really anything to worry about spec-wise. One of the things that I think surprised me the most about the Pixel 4a though is how good the screen is. You not only get this very clean and modern design that I think it is eye-catching in itself, it's not the very best. I mean, the whole design actually is a little bit on the bland side, so if you want something that's a bit more shouty, you have to look elsewhere. Battery life on this thing is pretty good. It should last you a whole day. I've had no issues with it at all. It's lasted slightly longer than my 4XL. My question though was how it actually fares when it comes to the camera, because Pixels are renowned for having just the best when it comes to image quality. And bearing in mind a lot of this is done by software, how does that processor stack up? Let's break this down. There are three best bits, if you were, about the 4a, and these are the dual exposure controls, the pixel night sight, and then the portrait mode. The rather scary sounding exposure controls allow you to quickly and easily make bits of your image brighter or darker before you've taken the photo, without having to edit it in post, while the night sight lets you take high quality, handheld photos in low light, and then the portrait mode that gives you professional camera level of depth of field, but from a phone that can be found in your pocket. Now the processor is definitely a little bit limiting here. It does struggle a little bit to get the same level of accurate blur as the bigger boys in portrait mode, but if you're wanting something that you can just pull out at any sort of event, whether it's a family barbecue, maybe a low light shot, something in a pub, you can pull this out and get fantastic photos every single time. Welcome to a quick video test on the Pixel 4a. We're going to try and get a few different areas of light, shall we say. In this particular test, this is obviously what the microphone sounds like. It's perfectly good enough. You're not really going to have too much of a problem. And then as we come outside, you should see, I don't know, pretty decent quality. We've got 4K video here, so it's not the 8K that you're going to find on the flagship Samsungs, but it doesn't really matter at all. Pretty usable, pretty good, no problems. And that really is then the Pixel 4a. Not that much to talk about. No fancy bells and whistles here. Fantastic camera, and it does everything that you're actually going to use your phone for very well. Does it matter if it doesn't have features that are easier to shout about, higher resolutions, higher refresh rates, all of these gimmicky super zooms or anything that actually you're not going to use? No. This phone is all about the day-to-day, it's about taking great photographs, it's about having a great user experience, and I think that Google know that for anyone really that uses a phone for a prolonged period of time, that's what's most important, and that's why it comes highly recommended. If you've liked this video, then please smash that like button, it really does help out, you wouldn't believe. And of course, while you're down there, don't forget to check out our sponsor, ASUS, and the crazy tough A15 gaming laptop. If you want to get PC gaming and a fully portable package, then look no further. Get to the top of the leaderboard with Nvidia's GTX and RTX graphics cards, and then super fast memory and storage. All of this in this gorgeous teal blue package. Get yours today with the link down below. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Do let me know your thoughts on this down below. Would you buy a Pixel? Would you go for something else? What do you think of this versus the Nord? Really interested to hear from you, so let me know, and I'll see you next time.